blind, spiritually lame, spiritually paralyzed people. And you know, in my life right now, I still have friends blind, paralyzed, going through divorce, going through chaos, continuing to reject Jesus Christ and living the fruit of those choices. It pains me to death. How about you? Where are you at? Are you blind? Are you lame? Are you paralyzed? Are you powerless? Are you trying to conquer some of these things in your own strength? Look at verse 3. It says, in these lay a great multitude of sick people, and watch what they were doing. They were waiting for the moving of the water. You ever notice those people that are just, they're waiting for their ship to come in? If I just win the lotto, then I'll be good. I don't have to worry about my financial stress anymore. Or I'm sitting around waiting for that perfect spouse. They're waiting for their ship to come in. These people were right there. They were blind, they were lame, they were paralyzed. They were sitting and waiting. And they saw other people. Whoever stepped in first. Now it's interesting right there. Whoever stepped in first was healed. And to me, that represents a point of contact to release faith. You know that there's active faith. You know that man, I know if I could just get there, something's going to happen. And then there's passive faith where, well, I believe Jesus can kind of do that, but, you know, this was like a point of contact. It's similar to, you know, after at the conclusion of the service, a lot of times I'll just say, hey man, if you want to see your life change, you want to begin a relationship with Christ, come forward to this brick area right here, and you know what? You can be saved. And this is kind of like the same thing, a point of contact for releasing of faith. Do you remember the woman who had a flow of blood for years and years and years? And what did she do? She said, man, if I could just touch the hem of Jesus' garment, I know I can be healed. Now, she could have just said, I want to be healed right now. I believe God can do it. Couldn't she? God's not limited. We just saw last week, Jesus stayed in the same town and healed some kid miles away. What was it for her? It was a point of contact to release that faith. It's exactly what she did. And she went in a crowd of people, she grabs Jesus' hem of the garment, boom, and she's healed immediately. It's the same thing that happens here. Week by week, we have opportunities for people to come forward and receive Christ. And this is the point of contact. By faith, they receive Christ and their lives changed. I've seen it time and time again. They were waiting. And that person that was able to get into there first had that point of contact. The faith was released and they were healed. And they were healed, watch, in verse 4, of whatever disease they had. Didn't matter what it was. They were healed. It doesn't matter what disease you have, spiritually speaking, physically speaking. It doesn't matter what setback you have. It doesn't matter if you're financially strapped. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what kind of addiction you have. The power of God supersedes all of that. This man, and I don't know how many years you've struggled with something. There's some in here right now that I'll submit to you. You've struggled with something for 38 years, like this guy right here. Maybe some of you, it's just recently, man. There's something that's going on in your life, it's just recent. And it's a struggle, it's a setback to you. Now this guy, in verse 5, he had an infirmity 38 years. I know of a guy who now is actually in full-time ministry in Illinois, one of my good friends, and he struggled with alcoholism for years. And because of that struggle, and because he was powerless to change and to get over it, he went through marriage after marriage after marriage. He was married and divorced 5 times, and went through job after job after job. And he was at a service similar to this, back in Illinois, and the pastor said to him, you think that you're just going to be able to put down the bottle? You just think that you're going to be able to have the power of yourself to be able to get through it? He said, look at me, you're powerless to change. And he told me, he said that it was like there was no one else in the room. It was like this word powerless, you're powerless, came directly like a missile right into his heart. And when that pastor gave that invitation to receive Christ and have the all-powerful one change his life, Holmes was the first one coming up. He was like, I'm out of here. I'm done with this. God was speaking to him. Some of you in here, you've lost hope. You said, there's just no way. There's no, I'm going to cash in the chips. Can't do it. It's true. You're powerless. But there's someone that's powerful. Now, look at verse 6. And this is interesting when I've read this several times. Watch what he says to this guy. So picture now, Jesus sees this whole set going on, all these paralyzed people. He picks out this one guy, and I imagine he's probably in the outskirts. He's probably far away from the pool. And verse 6, watch me. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he'd already been in that condition a long time. Again, we're talking about Jesus, God in the flesh. He's omnipotent. He knows all things. He knew that he's been there a long time. Now watch. He said to him, do you want to be made well? Now doesn't that sound kind of weird? Well, of course. Jesus? Do you think I'm just kind of laying around just for my own good? 38 years, of course I want to be made well. And that's at my first read. It might be at your first read when you read this. Man, that doesn't seem right. But you know what? As I consider and study that more and more, I think that's a valid question. And the question goes out to you guys as well. Do you want to be made well? Do you want to be made well? What do you mean? Of course. I don't know. I think there's some people, and let me say this as tactfully as I can, I think there's some people that are actually comfortable with their setbacks, with whatever's bothering them. It's kind of become their identity. You picture this person that's crippled or whatever, and that's just their identity, and that's the only way they really get attention is complaining about their situation. If I was made well, then I would have nothing to complain about anymore, and then who would pay attention to me? I don't know. Is that you? Is that your identity? I think there's also people that say, I met these people right face to face. I was in Birmingham, Alabama. I had blown out my foot, and it was my knee that time. See, I had too many injuries. I can't keep my bone. Blew out my knee. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama at Health South, rehabbing my knee. I stayed at the Best Western, connected to the Waffle House. You guys remember those? And I call it the Waffle Inn. Had waffles every single morning. It's not fun, but I would go down to their kind of town square there, and there was a ton of homeless people that would just kind of hang out in this area. And a lot of times I go down there and I just pray. I say, God, use me just to love on some of these guys. And oftentimes I go into a pizza place and buy, myself some pizza, and I bring the leftovers and I start just kind of giving it out to some of the guys. And this one guy, I started striking up a conversation. Man, tell me about, how you find yourself in this position, and kind of give me your, your life story. Next thing you know, there's like 3, 4, 5 guys right around me. And I'm finding out a couple of these guys have college degrees, have families, and they left their responsibilities. The pressure was too much. And they just took off and they said, you know what, I'm done. And they were okay to live like that. That was just okay to them. You see, these people, they really didn't want to be made well. And then there's some others that I believe don't want to be made well because they like their sin too much. In John chapter 3, you guys remember, we just kind of discussed it. It's in verse 20 for you note takers. You can see what it says. It says, everyone practicing evil hates the light and does not come to the light lest his deeds should be exposed. I think some people, me included, before I came to Christ, I like my sin too much. I really don't want to be made well. This feels good. If I'm made well, then there has to be some change in my life, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know. Where do you truly want to be made well? Verse 7. Now the sick man answers. Okay, so remember this dialogue going on. The sick man, this guy that's crippled, this guy that's maligned, he says, the sick man answered and said, Sir, and you can underline this, I have no man. I box that in my Bible. I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I'm coming, another steps down before me.